Okay.
And as a first, guys, we're live. It's Tom Cassidy, Reasonable Wealth Project. I've got Patrick Edwards in the house. Patrick, where are you calling from today?
Denver, Colorado.
Denver, Colorado, the Mile High City. Fantastic. Yeah. How and is the weather? Is I guess it's pretty hot this time of year there, right?
It is. It's today's been pretty comfortable, but it can get very hot this time of year. Yes.
And what have you been up to?
Not much. I mean, I guess just to jump right into it. The one reason I want to talk to you is about so in the science of getting rich.
Yep, I know it.
Um,
Yeah.
what, yeah, right. What do you think is the shortest line between thinking in a certain way and acting in a certain way?
God, that's a great question. Um, let me think about that. I've never thought about that. So, in other words, you believe that you are thinking a certain way, but you're not quite acting in the way that you're thinking at the moment. Is that kind of what you're saying, or you want
Yeah.
to know
Yes.
more quickly how to act out the reality of your thinking?
Yes, sort of. I've been listening to, I mean, on repeat,
Yeah,
both of those two chapters. So I like your voice has been in my head a lot recently, which is good. It blocks out
fantastic.
other voices, but
Yeah,
it's obvious. Like you can look at it and you can kind of start to get meta about your own thinking and realize, okay, well, I was having an argument with this person, or I was, complaining about this or that, and this has nothing to do with my goal.
yeah,
If my goal is a brand new Porsche 911 Turbo.
yeah,
I'm sitting there arguing about something that's never going to happen, or it's happened and it's in the past, then the creative energy is being taken out of the picture and the image that I'm trying to impress upon form with substance, right?
yep,
So I can watch that and get meta about it, but then it comes down to like, what's the difference in acting in a certain way and how to be meta about that? Because I mean, that's at least for me in my perspective, it kind of comes down to those. Obviously everything else plays in. The rest of the book plays into those two things for me, and just trying to figure out whatever it is to act in a certain way, because the thinking is more difficult as far as the willpower required to make it happen,
yeah.
but the actions can be more difficult to figure out and how to follow through on them.
Yeah, actually, these are very, very good questions because a lot of people get a little bit confused. So first of all, the awareness prevents a lot of people from even thinking about the certain way or thinking in the certain way. First of all, thinking about it to realize that there is a way to think, and B, actually remembering to do it. So I agree with you that thinking is a lot harder, but you're probably at the stage where because of the system, you're kind of getting it over and over again. It's being dripped to you, and you think, yeah, I kind of get it. I kind of get it. I kind of get it. Yeah, I'm aware. Yeah, fantastic. That's good. I'm noticing my script and all that sort of stuff. But maybe in terms of the actual action, I think this is a bit where a lot of people they try to go too hard with this. I think the way I understand it and the way it seems to work really well for me is, okay, will this get me closer to my vision or further away? Will doing this, not just doing this particular thing, but doing it in this way, will and going back from that, it's almost like, will this get me to become the person I want to become sooner, or will this, is this sort of way of acting and actually being with other people and the way of organizing my own time and being in my job and being as a husband or a parent or a partner, is that actually getting me closer to becoming the person I want to be, rather than thinking about the actual goal? I think one of the things I was trying to get across to people last week when we were talking about the week's focus with sort of abundance and all that sort of stuff was, when you're talking about your vision, it really is, it's about, actually I think it was maybe even the week before when they're talking about the definiteness of the vision. I think a lot of people will kind of do it the wrong way around, and they'll think about what they want to have first, like the Porsche 911, and then they'll work out what they need to do in order to have that, and then they work out how good they need to get in order that they can do those things and so that they can have those goals. And I think that usually I find it most effective for people to work out ultimately with the toys and the stuff or without them, what sort of person do you actually want to become? How do you want to be known? How do you want people to see you? What do you want to stand for? What do you want to be the go-to guy for? How do you know, almost, you want to be great, really. You want to be a great person. And that if you are a great person in the ordinary small things, the way you talk to people, the way you listen to people, the way you sit down and spend time with your partner, the way you just deal with a subordinate in a transactional way at work, if you're being really great in these small things on a daily basis, doing what you're doing right now, you become a great person. And as a result of becoming a great person, you will attract greater and greater things to do. So you'll find that people are trusting more stuff with you in a project management sense at work. They're coming to you for bigger decisions. They're asking your opinion. They're seeking your counsel more and more. So actually, your gravity is increasing. As a result of your gravity increasing, your sphere of influence then increases, and you get more to determine the sort of things that you're doing. And then all of a sudden, you find that you kind of have shaped the life that you want. And I suppose so. In terms of the shortest distance, the quick answer to the question would be do small things in a great way. And that will take you from thinking to acting as quickly as possible, I think. So,
Yeah, let me ask you. You were talking about the gravity of things starting to surround you more, right?
yeah.
So you're saying you view that as being a cumulative act, right?
Yeah.
And let me ask you this, because I know you use it in the course as an example, and I don't know if other people out there know it or not. And this is actually one of the things of physics where I'm kind of fuzzy, but you were talking about how it's also us that has gravity that's holding the Earth in place to where it is, not just the Earth having gravity holding us where we are.
Yep.
So if that's the case, and there's gravity that exists in the other things that we want, what do you think there is to clearing out the gravity to the things that we don't want? Do you think it's the thought that forms the gravity?
Yeah, well, this is the thing, isn't it? I mean, like, we don't, for a start, gravity is an effect. We don't really know what's actually causing it. We have no idea about the mechanics of it. So the result, but it seems to be. I mean, you know what I love? I love Buckminster Fuller's definition, really, which is like. Is basically saying that gravity has got the metaphysical manifestation of love is gravity, and it's saying that basically the way we actually think can influence things in such a way, in the same way that gravity can influence things. I don't really know, honestly. I don't really know whether I need to know exactly what gravity is in order to use it, and I don't really know whether I need to know exactly how it works in order to use it. I just find the results of thinking in a certain way and trying to, at the same time I'm thinking about what I want to achieve, I'm also acting in the here and the now and trying to do small things in a great way. So the result of that could be very much that I've created gravity, and I've sent out a message to the lines of transmission that exist for bringing things to me. But I genuinely think that we can spend too long worrying about the manifesting and stuff like that, and this I think a lot of people might fall down over. They might think, well, okay, I just want to let the physics do its job. Well, okay, the physics is just one way of coming to the is one way of explaining the stuff that's happening. Now, as a physicist, and you're obviously very technical as well, and you kind of like that. But for me, I reach a point where I say, okay, it just seems to work so far. We don't know exactly how it works, but it seems to work. I think it is likely that we have way more power with our metaphysical effects, our ability to think, than we really understand. I even heard a theory recently that maybe alien life forces do exist, and because the Earth, in terms of, as you're well aware, I'm sure, the Earth is kind of a moderately aged planet in a much older universe, and therefore it's likely that there has been, of all the trillions and trillions of other planets are out there, it's likely that life has evolved already at some point in the universe. It's likely. It's not certain. It's likely. What if the life that's evolved at these other places thought, well, you know what? If we appeared to all other life forms in the way that they might expect, they'd probably, they probably like shoot us and want to capture us and all that sort of stuff. What if we just send our ideas and our technology as intuition out across the universe, so that anyone who's open to it will pick it up? What if that's the communication by which these other life forms have worked out? Well, people will only be ready for it when they're ready for it. So we'll kind of send this information, this great stuff out, these ideas out to the universe, a bit like a radio station broadcasting in all directions. And those that are tuned in will get it, and those that aren't won't. And what if it's a bit like that? Now, at the end of the day, as I keep always saying, even though I'm a scientist, I am less interested in what's actually true and more interested in what's helpful. Is it helpful for me to think that there is I only have to go halfway. All I have to do is really think about what I want, and provided it's in accordance with nature's principles and it will bring greater life for all, then nature itself and it will say, hey, this guy's doing some good shit, we need to get him aligned with all these sorts of things, and it will organize it. I find it helpful to think that that's kind of how it works, without, as a real scientist, as a true scientist, true scientists really don't care about the mechanics of how it's all happening. They just care about the results and the ability of the future to be predictable as a result of the evidence from previous experiments. It's up to the philosophers to get deep into the actual mechanics, as long as we can, in terms of the predictions, we can say how the operational side of things work. We don't want to say, well, it's all magic, and if we build a plane with this shaped wing, it might work. We don't know. No, we want to build testable predictions. But we don't need to know the mechanics by which gravity is sort of communicating from one mass to another.
Yeah.
That's sort of, I mean, we can spend all night on this sort of particular topic, and to be honest, I'd be quite happy to. But at some point, you have to reach a decision, or every individual has to reach a decision where, okay, there is no proof, but there is evidence that I'm happy to go with. I can get behind taking certain actions. I can get behind thinking in a certain way because I have enough evidence that this is probably going to work.
Okay, let me ask you this one.
Go on.
So, to keep from being the castle builder in the mirror daydreamer, right?
Yeah.
So let's say whatever your really big goal is something that's completely apart from where you are right now.
Yep.
What do you think the steps are in your most local environment way, or what do you think really is the 51% tipping point for somebody not being just a daydreamer? If somebody, because the way I take it from how Waddle says it is, you can have the emotion, you can have the feeling, like you can smell it, you can touch it, you can taste it and everything, but if you're not taking those actions, obviously you can see I've been completely focused on thinking and actions, but if you're not taking those actions, that it's kind of pointless, is how he phrases it. What do you think's the tipping point or the difference?
Okay, yeah, this is. Look, I think you're right to think of just the thinking and the action, because the faith is evidenced by you actually acting, and the gratitude is also evidenced by the faith that you then have. You see, you start with gratitude. The metaphysical things are kind of, and the physical things are all linked together, but fundamentally you learn and you appreciate and you grow and you create everything as a result of the action. So I think you are right to think about the action, but what happens is when you're acting in a certain way, what he really means by that is when you act, you've got to have total certainty, total faith that your actions are getting you step by step closer to your vision. You cannot have any idea how, but as long as you have total certainty that they are, it doesn't matter how far away that goal is and how far your local actions seem to permeate. That's totally irrelevant from my perspective. And I found that totally. I don't know why I'm doing a certain thing. I know that I'm doing it, trusting my intuition, believing, but I can't actually see, I can't bridge the 4,200 mini steps that are going to happen. But for me, it doesn't That doesn't prevent me from taking the action. All I'm doing is saying, okay, does this feel right? Does this make sense to me as far as I can see? Does this seem logical? Yeah. Am I doing it for the right reasons? You know, is it bringing greater life for all? You know, it's almost like, is this the best way for me to bring the most life to all, or most life to the most people in the shortest economy of resources, you know, the shortest amount of time, the shortest amount of effort? Is it the minimum will approach? Is me doing this? You know, and one of the biggest questions is, am I enjoying the heck out of it right now? You know,
Yeah,
that's a really, really good.
that is a huge question. And gratitude what's that?
I think that's something that sometimes people forget because they've read so many books about, you know, no pain, no gain and all those things. Well, I don't think it works like that, because in order to get yourself operating at a level with faith and gratitude, I don't think you can be doing things that you really don't want to do right now. You might be doing things that you think, well, I don't want to be doing this forever, but you have to have that mindset that this is absolutely the perfect thing for you to be doing right now, because it is where you are. You can do only what you've got, only what you can with what you've got where you are. So it's almost like, if you have that, the problem people make, if they have a sort of a lack of synchronicity between, or lack of alignment between what they're doing right now with what they kind of want to be doing. If they're thinking, you know what, I really want this, I can't see that me doing what I'm doing right now is going to get me my vision. You know, what you're doing then is you're actually not acting from faith. You might still be acting from gratitude, but you're not acting from faith. You're not acting from the fact that this is part of the bigger picture, and you can only ever be in the perfect place for you given your current level of awareness. And when your awareness raises, when your thought raises, and your ability to connect the dots raises, which only raises as a result of doing the action. You see, this is the thing that people miss. You do the action because the action is your laboratory of self-improvement, your laboratory of raising your awareness, your laboratory of appreciation of everything, of increasing your faith and increasing your gratitude and increasing your thoughts and your awareness. So it's a systems level thinking. You know, you can't just say, okay, I've thought plenty, now I'm going to act. Every time you act in a certain way, you're reinforcing your thinking, your faith, your gratitude. And so that's how you grow. And then you find that it suddenly escalates and people come to you and you've got no reason why they should come to you. You don't know them, and they're offering you stuff and they're aligning with you and everything. Kind of like you'll go through a phase in your life where everything you touch turns to gold. But it doesn't. And that's on average. You know, I have days where I go into my script like anybody, and always will. But what I think is absolutely crucial is that the you that gets the things that you really, really want is not the you that starts the journey. The you that starts the journey does stuff on a daily basis with the idea that they're acting in a certain way, and as they do stuff, they grow, they become a better person, they become more valuable to society, they become, if they're acting in a certain way and what they're doing and what they're trying to do in terms of a regenerative, greater life for all experience they're trying to create, they become more valuable, they become more worthy, so they get a little bit more stuff sent to them, whether it's stuff to do or stuff to have, and they've got more responsibility as a result. They act more, they develop, they become more awesome, and all that stuff. And so it's like, yeah, I think it's okay for people to be acting when they don't know exactly how it's related, as long as they have that faith. Our man Jim Carrey, you know, the actor, was talking on a video recently and saying, look, it's not your job to know how it's going to work. It's just your job to walk through the door. And this is, I thought it was quite nice, actually. I mean, it's always nice when you can see that people have got a certain level of success on the apparently competitive plane. You realize that actually they've been pulling from a different reservoir. They've been actually drinking from a different cup, so to speak. You know, they really have been thinking in a different way. When they say, you know, of course, on the competitive plane, if you really are trying to compete for stuff and trying to win a football match or you know, get a promotion and so on, then it's not going to be as easy for you because your endeavors are probably not greater life for all. You're probably thinking, oh, well, I want my team to win at the expense of another team, and so on. So I don't think you get as much help from the universe in that respect. And my way of looking at things, again, helpful is more important than true, is that whenever you're operating the competitive plane, you can use the law of attraction, you can think about what you want and all that sort of stuff, and it will work for you, but you won't get the universe meeting you halfway. You'll get, oh, well, you know, through sheer endeavor and hard work, and Wattle says this about the robber barons and everything. So they've been the unconscious agents of the Supreme. They've just done extremely well by their ability to graft and to work hard at the level of competition. But actually, what they've done has tremendously helped Greater Life for All, because unbeknownst to them, they've been the unconscious agents of the Supreme, kind of organizing stuff, in particular the industrial side of things and the manufacturing processes. So I think you will, you either are operating purely at the level of competition, which you'll get no support from the universe, and it's just, well, you'll probably do okay if you keep going, because you know you'll carry on when most other people will stop. But sometimes you'll get help from the universe because you don't really know that you're being used, but there are ulterior motives to the help that you're getting, and surprising things will happen to you. And then there's the third group of people, like yourself, like me, and all the people hopefully in my programs who are actually trying to do stuff that's regenerative. So even though they're trying to get great things for themselves and a great lifestyle for themselves and stuff for themselves as well, they're doing it in a way that will bring greater life for all through giving value to extending their gravity and giving more value to more people. That makes sense?
It's very interesting. Yeah, it makes all that stuff and how that's competitive. Something that this is a thought that occurred at the day. At that level is still a certain type of creation, and I'm explain why I think that. So if you look at soccer, which is the biggest sport in the world, as much as I might hate to admit that being from America, but
yeah.
If you look at it, even though it's competitive at the level of the teams that are playing and everything, and the fans and all that, it's creative in how it brings people together.
Yep.
And it's also easy in that field to be extremely, when you start talking about, basketball is putting up a hoop and getting a ball. Soccer is putting up a couple posts and getting a ball. And it brings people together, and it is creative. And it's even creative on the plane of, people sitting in their bodies better, or however you want to say that. So it's very, I guess what I'm trying to come around to is even competitive in a microcosm of it. In the macrocosm, creativity still wins, even when it comes to things like sports.
Yeah, you're completely right there. And one of my ways of explaining sort of evolution in general is starts off at one end of the scale where all we want to do is eat each other. Then moving along the scale, we kind of fight each other, and then further down we compete with each other, and then finally we love each other. And so we're kind of, evolution in general has got humans somewhere along that scale. And actually, the competition is a natural part of the process by which we move. Now, the last thing we'd want to do is be in a situation where we loved each other and never played any sort of physical sport, because, as you said, it's an incredibly good way to bring nations together following their own national team. Fantastic. Even if they're competing against another national team and so on, it still is a good way to unify. And I think that sport, as you said, sport is a way to channel effectively channel love through that competition. You reach people in a kind of different way, and it's the stories that really touch you from sport. I happen to think that it would be even better if these incredibly self-disciplined, talented individuals who would succeed. If you're a top basketball player, if you're a top soccer player, or a top American football player, you're probably the sort of person who's got the self-discipline to succeed at anything, pretty much, right? Certainly, you might not be.
Not very true.
You may not be the most intellectually capable, so there might be certain things that you wouldn't be able to deal with, but you could basically succeed at pretty much anything. So one of my, I don't do this anymore because I don't believe that anything isn't perfect about the world right now, but I used to think it was the biggest wasted resource was all these superbly self-disciplined, incredibly talented people just trying to do well in sport. And like and you read the stories and they say, oh well, when I was 11 I was inspired by this person who won the gold medal at the 2004 Olympics. So since that day I've decided I wanted to be a cyclist and I wanted to win the gold medal and I wanted to do all that sort of stuff. That's really limited thinking. You're taking all that incredible talent and you're just limiting it to reaching a gold medal in a fixed plane, really. Even though it's kind of is creative, as you said, and you've got all this love and this wonderful stuff, essentially the best case scenario for all these people is to get a gold medal. Gold medals have already been won by people, so it's not like you're creating anything new, right? So what if, and a biggest tragedy for me was thinking that all these incredibly talented people who could be devoting that energy to developing really cool science or neat breakthroughs or some humanitarian stuff or getting people to love each other and all that sort of stuff. I think, well, okay, but of course, as Wattle says, the world is perfect for right now, and anyone thinking that the world is a place that needs fixing is contributing to the energy which is saying this is an imperfect world, and that basically that's slowing the whole process of perfecting the world down. But it is interesting, isn't it, that you've got all these incredibly talented people who best case scenarios for them to get a gold medal. There's nothing wrong with the gold medal, but all you're doing is, I love it, in the Olympics, we get super excited, super excited about a guy who can run about half as fast as a dog. Usain Bolt, he's amazing, but come on, let's put a greyhound in there. Now, okay, humans are amazing at things. We can do so much, and we can do so many different types of things. And I can't help thinking that in the future we will be developing these tremendously incredible people to be at the stage where we're transcending the competitive sport and we're doing even more creative sport. But anyway, inch by inch, I do agree with you, actually. I love sport and I love the World Cup. Absolutely fantastic. In fact, it was a great World Cup. I don't know what you see, not really into soccer, but boy, oh boy, it was a cracking World Cup. Did you get to watch any of it?
No, it was. I did watch it. I watched some of it. I mean, it's the World Cup. You got to watch it.
Yeah, and your boys did really well. Of course, Cindy's from the US, and so that's a good example. The US team, who didn't really have that very much talent, really, as individuals, but they played together as a great team. And the Germans weren't particularly talented as individuals. There's a couple of good players, but boy, were they a well-organized and great team. So I do think you've got a point there about you can learn an awful lot from sport by the value of people being organised and working together for a common goal, and the hugely talented individuals that comprise say the Portuguese team, because they weren't doing it all for the same purpose, the same common vision. They kind of fell apart as soon as things got a little bit difficult. And Brazil, again, they were a dreadful team with well, actually, two pretty good players, and that was it. Anyway, we could talk all night about sport and everything, but what in particular with your case, you're talking about the shortest path to going from thinking a certain way, which you've pretty much nailed. I'm reading between the lines. You've nailed the thinking and the acting. You're not sure whether or not it's effective in getting you towards your vision the way in your local place. You're finding it difficult to see.
And I think you kind of landed on something a while ago when you said something. When you said something earlier about and that's kind of the growth point. It sounded
breaking up a little bit there, Patrick. Maybe my end.
Like you start. Yeah. I don't know if it's mine or not. My internet looks
good, does it? Okay.
Everything.
It's probably.
Can you hear me now?
It's probably my phone. It's probably my phone, which is also. I'm putting my phone on the other. I've got a business line and then a house line as well for the family, so that it might be a little bit better. No, it broke up, by the way, when you just said I think.
Maybe.
Yeah, go on, repeat that bit.
maybe there's. Well, I was just saying maybe we're going back and forth so much. It's putting too much stress on that one.
Yeah, lost you a little bit there. Okay. Um, no, it's not working.
I wonder maybe my speaker or something. You know, why?
Could it be a microphone? No. The signal does look quite
I
good.
just muted and unmuted it. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. My microphone shouldn't. It's not on mute,
It's coming through perfectly.
and I'm not a quiet person, so it's not. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you really clearly for about 80% of
Tom.
it, and then it suddenly just dives out. So that's a little bit weird. Try one more, maybe. If not, I'll call you straight back. Actually, that might work better. No, it's not working, is it?
And I think that kind of feels like that.
Let me call you straight
No,
back.
it's not.
No.